Hello, everyone. Hi. Are you ready to dive a little bit deeper into fear, to move beyond the fears that keep you back, anxious, nervous, overwhelmed? My gosh, there's lots of other ways to express into the repercussions of what fear can do in our lives. It can be paralyzing to us in every level. So, if we are afraid of failure, if we're afraid of success, if we're afraid of other people, what they think, what they say, what they feel, if we're afraid of life and the way life feels to us when we go outside, are we at risk? Are we safe on the streets? Are we safe within our own families? Are we safe? It's a big, huge topic. Now let me make this a little bit bigger so I can see what's going on. Okay, so hello, my name is Michelle Howe. If you don't know me, I am glad to meet you. I am the founder of Empath Evolution, and I'm just going to go through a couple exercises with you today on fear, eliminating the fear factor. I want to see if anyone's here. If you're here, please say hello. Let me know you're here. Let me know what you've got on your mind. What's come up this week that has held you back or has had you anxious or has had you upset? Um, what are you ready to move beyond? Now, mind you, there's a certain point where this is important for people. Most people will not come forward and say, you know what, I've got this fear that's holding me back. I've got this fear that's causing all this suffering. They will simply come forward and say, you know what, I'm not happy in this part of my life. I feel stuck. I feel like I'm in a no-win situation. I feel like I'm anxious all the time. I'm hurt. I can't trust myself. Like it shows up. Fear is behind all of those things because it's either fear or love. It's either fear or love. You're either operating from a place where you're afraid of life or operating from a place where you know you've got it. You know life is going to go and you're trusting it and you're moving forward. And yep, you might get a couple scrapes and bruises here and there, but you got it. All right. So, my gosh, nobody's on. Is this not a good time? Maybe not. So, last time, I'm just going to kind of recap a little bit. We talked a little bit about where fear comes from, why it's here. Did we make it up or is it real? If you perceive something as fearful, whether it's I'm afraid of spiders, or I'm afraid of climbing up that mountain, or I'm afraid of an argument with someone, I'm afraid of a parent or a person, they're all real. They're all based on your perception of what the experience is going to be, who the person is, what the threat is there to you. Why is it that some people don't react to spiders? Some people don't react to heights. Some people, confrontation comes in front of them, no big deal. I got this confrontation. I'm fine. I know what I'm going to say. It's really, there's a couple components, more than a couple actually, but a couple key things. If you're an empath, it's a little bit more complicated because you're feeling the energies of other people very intensely when you're with others, especially if you're a very open empath, which I don't ever want to condemn anyone for being open. I think it's a beautiful thing to be open. I just think we need to exercise discernment and know where it's safe to be open. What are we open to? What are we opening up to? And then there is a strength to your openness. So if in any way you're open to something that's toxic and you let it in and it's not supporting you in any way, you are going to suffer. You are going to feel that intensely. Now, people don't intentionally mean to harm us. Sometimes they do. They don't intentionally. People always function, always respond, always speak, always show up as who they are. Sometimes it looks like this beautiful thing they put on a show of this beautiful thing that they are. But if you're in their company, it will be unmistakable who they are because you're going to feel it intensely in you. Now, mind you, you're always feeling and sensing and intuiting, discerning based on your level of understanding, your level of insight into the human psyche. Always trust your intuition, but also beware that you have fears in you. We all do. And when we run into something we don't understand or we judge in some way, when it's a familiar wound to us, we will look at it. We will look at it with those eyes. And in that moment, we're not neutral. We're not neutral at all. And in that sense, we we can attract something that we can feel and sense and allow something in that we don't want to. So above all else, every empath in this group or every empath that's awakening, you got to recognize the fact that energy is magnetic. And in the judgment, in the feeling sorry for, in the human condition, we can attract, see, experience vibrations we don't want to. So the remedy to that is to put a spotlight on what the fear is, put a spotlight on what the judgment is, put a spotlight on ourselves enough that we recognize when it happens and we're not triggered anymore and we can stay in our spot, in a very happy spot. So I asked some of you that were here last time, which are not here right now, maybe you are, you're just being quiet in the background, to spotlight a fear that you have and then go back in time as to why this fear exists. Like, don't believe every reason that you give yourself. You really want to go back to the root cause of why this exists, what's it really about. And once you've traced it back, now you can effectively work on eliminating the belief. And it's not so much, I don't believe this. You have to truly, with your whole being, not just your mind, want to reverse, counter, eliminate, negotiate the intensity of what you believe, especially if it's getting in the way of your capacity to be happy, if it's getting in the way of your day-to-day life. I'm going to give you an example. If you have in some way developed a fear of going out in public, I don't have that fear. Say you've had that fear. How much is that impacting your life? Quite a bit, right? Quite a bit. So your motivation to get rid of that or to clear that, release that, transmute that is high. You have every power available to you to release it. What is required is courage to move beyond the initial discomfort when you actually look at what the feeling is that arises within you and where it's arising. So what happens is we're afraid of the feelings. We're afraid of feeling. We're afraid of feeling something that doesn't feel good to us. I'm telling you, if you can sit with something that doesn't feel good to you and allow yourself to sit there with it without identifying with it and believing it and trying to run the other way from it. You just hold steady to it. It will slowly dissipate. Worst case scenario, slowly dissipate. You're not by yourself. You're observing it outside of you. You're feeling it perhaps, right? But you're allowing it to be seen, to be acknowledged, to move. Because the moment you bring attention to something, reflection in something, especially if you're in your heart center when you do this stops. There's no thinking going on. You're in your heart center. You're just holding, holding, holding. It dissipates, becoming smaller and smaller and smaller. How do I know this? Because I've done it. It's not easy, it's achievable. The moment we release any fear. So if I say that I'm afraid I won't be a good mother, okay, I'm afraid I won't be a good mother. I don't want any children. I'm afraid I won't be a good mother. This is like the idea. I won't be. Why won't you be? Why are you afraid? Well, because it would be horrible if I raised a child that that wasn't a good member of society and didn't do well at things. I don't think I can do it. Why don't you think you can't do it? Well, because I didn't see anybody do it right for me. Look what happened to me. Look what my mother did. Or she, look what she created. Why? What does she create? What is it that, well, I am this dysfunctional person that can't do X, Y, and Z, and I'm not even happy. And then they did this when I was younger, and they just took care of them. I don't think the world needs another child in it. Ooh, why don't you think the world needs another child in it? Because the world is really screwed up, and I see a lot of kids in pain. Hmm. When did you see kids in pain? Why are they in pain? Well, and it always looks like you're talking about them. Well, but you're really talking about you, what you've allowed yourself to believe the whole time. Well, I see children that don't have any respect for adults, that are suffering and in pain emotionally. They're on all kinds of drugs. They're not doing what they need to be doing. And I don't know what the world's come to. I don't want any children. I can't have children. I will not be a good mother. And you go down that road a little bit more with them, with yourself, actually. And then you go, okay, what is your definition of a good mother? What is that? What is the risk? Are you truly going to be a bad mother? What's the evidence that you're going to be a bad mother? Is it just really true? Is this not true? What is it that's telling you? Well, I saw my mother didn't have a great mother. I haven't had a great mother. If I had a great mother, she would have done X, Y, and Z with me. You hear the stories, the stories, the stories. They're just a bunch of stories on top of one another. And there are reasonings. The brain is coming up with a reason why this is going to happen. It's inevitable. And then the world, and all of it is like a spinning of information that is not helpful. It is not uplifting. It, it's real in your mind, but is it real? From your exposure, you have seen, you've extracted all this information from all these parts, and you've pieced it together to say, I won't be a good mother. I cannot have children. I will not be a good mother. And why would I want to? But underneath it all, if I said to you again, why don't you want to be a mother? What are you afraid of? If I actually went that far in the question, so you pose the question yourself, what am I afraid of? I am afraid that I will be faced with failure. I will be faced with struggle. I will be faced with pain. I will be faced with challenges in front of me that I cannot handle. Hmm. Why can't you handle them? Well, it's not really for me. Why? It's just not in the cards. There's always going to be reasons for the why. What is the truth? There's a fear behind there of failure, a fear of letting someone down, a fear of loving. So loving and letting someone down, isn't that kind of the same? Like what the world expects of me, what I expect of me, what's going to come my way with the world. It's all of it a bundle of not trusting the actual of what the potential is in front of you, of what this, not trusting what this could be. And guess what? Maybe it's meant for you not to have children, but we wrap around these beliefs of, well, I wouldn't be a good mother. In total, they're not positive, uplifting beliefs. What we could say is, I really am not drawn to having children. I'm not sure why that is, but it doesn't draw my interest and my passion. It's not my path. Now, that is a statement made from a position of strength. So, that's kind of an example of how you would move through a fear. Last time we were here, there were lots of, one of them was Karen was afraid of conformity. Why are you afraid of conformity, Karen? Because then I won't be able to speak my truth and be different because everybody is now the same. I'm afraid that I will lose my uniqueness by conforming to everything around me. All right. Does it need to be a fear, or is it your choice? It's not a fear. I choose to be my own unique self. I choose and I allow others to step forward as their own unique self. See, the framing of what these things are matters. Okay. Um, Being not fitting in, not being normal, huge for empaths. Huge. Why? Because we've been told that we're not normal, that we are different, or we've felt that we've been shunned because we don't fit into certain circles or certain groups, right? So, what do you do with that? Hmm. You could feel bad for yourself. You could be angry. You could push down anything that makes you unique and make yourself like everybody else. How long do you think that will work for? Not very long. You'll be stuffing down what your natural spirit is saying to you. So our level of happiness goes along with our level of expression, our level of creativity, our level of flowing with life. That is what allows us to be happy. The moment we're stifled, the moment we're told what to do, the moment we're afraid to be open and playful, we've lost that beautiful sense of what life could be for us or who we are. And then it's like someone poured a load of dirt on top of us. And then if we let another load of dirt be dumped on top of us, now we're really heavy. And that, my friends, is what brings on resentment, heaviness, just heaviness. It's not fun to be weighed down by anything or anyone. So, the number one thing in our lives is to feel freedom, the freedom to be true to ourselves. Not free, I get freedom when I do this, this, and this. That's not the cure. I get freedom when I make other people feel good, I feel good. Okay? I get it. But are you free? What happens when you can't make somebody feel good? What happens when there's nothing for them to feel good about? How are you gonna handle that? Right? So knowing where your place is and what you're here to do is super, super, super important. Your place is to evolve, to be true to yourself, to know yourself, to step into the next best version of yourself, to feel good in your own skin, to stop allowing other people to write in your story, to take parts of you away, to shame parts of you. You recall all parts of you back in. Now, I'm not having the opportunity to do this live with any one person today, which is okay. I think you'll get something out of what I just shared. Um, Let me think. Are fears your friends or foes? Is it a friend or is it a foe? We always want to look at what something is. We may not like one of our fears, but if it feels like us, we ask, is this mine? If it feels like us, we look at it. Just like a mother would help their child, you help yourself, your inner child. You want to be curious, you want to know what something is about. And if that means you have to go deeper and you have to cry and you have to admit some things and you have to quote unquote forgive yourself, forgive the other person, it's a matter of surrendering to what something is and allowing it to just be. Not identifying as this is really sucky, this is really bad. I can't believe this just happened to me. No, no, no. You scrape off your bruises, move. Move forward. Keep moving forward. You don't sit in something that is so tough and negative. You move through it. Okay? What did I also have in here? What is your relationship with fear? What do you do with it? Do you respond to it? Do you react to it? Do you deny that it's even there? Denial has actually been one of the things I've been shocked to find is pretty prevalent. All right? People that can't handle certain things, they deny them until they happen, and then they have to face what that is, um, or keep spending the rest of their life ignoring it and denying it. My biggest advice is to be proactive. Just be proactive. Whatever something is, spotlight it, feel it, move through it, get it over with, get it on with it. Um, so fear can come into our space in many areas of our lives. Truly, we can be afraid of finding the wrong partner. We can be afraid of certain friends judging us. We can be afraid of what's going on in the world right now. We can be afraid of being accepted. We can be afraid of rejection. That's why I say and you'll see this flavor of your fear coming time and time again. It'll keep revisiting until you release it, till you find a way around it. Um, if you choose to live with fear, if you don't address it, fear will do damage to you. How do I know this? I know this. You can feel it. People that push through life to get to the other side and they're in a lot of stress and there's a lot of cortisol coming in and they lose track of who they are because they're too busy doing what everybody else wants them to be. Eventually, the system isn't like the energy body is not flowing. There is an issue with that. And eventually, in some way, the feelings that you stuffed down or avoided or denied get put into different organs that you have. That's how it works on a holistic level. I know it's hard to believe, but that's how it is. So, addressing this head on, facing what this is, releasing what these are, is important. Um, Also because it's kind of if you take on negativity and you take on more negativity and you take on, soon enough you look at everything as negative too. So it's a self profess you self professed, I don't know the right words for this. Like you're creating your life based on these thoughts and these beliefs that are manifesting and they're negative and they're heavy and they're not going to help you. All right. So I don't know if I have homework for next time. I'd like to have a third one with you guys. Basically, our fear is comes up to the surface for a reason. It needs to be released, and it's only going to be released once you acknowledge it and work through it. If you stuff it, if you negatively react, if you make it worse, so you can make your fears even bigger than what they are by feeding them more. So the opposite of that is what? Clearing them, bringing beautiful light to them, bringing a beautiful energy to help them transmute. The way you would talk to a small child who is afraid of something. That's how you talk to your fear. That's how you talk to your fear. Because what you're doing is you're calming yourself down and you're creating a safe space. So, safety and security is the most important thing, and you're rewriting the story when you do that. All right. Hello, Karen, my dear girl. Yes, you choose. So, beyond the logical mind, fear lives and can grow or it can be looked at to be diminished because it's either fear or love. You choose where you live. And then at some point, when you really are choosing love, the fear doesn't have any place to attach to you because it doesn't reside within you. Nope. Does this mean that everything turns out perfect? No, perfect doesn't really exist. But you take those actions and your mind has oxygen. You feel like you're hydrated and ready to take on what's in the world with your lens, with your experience, um, with what you bring to the table for it. So beware of the toxic in your life because you don't need that either. We're going to remove those or step away from those as much as possible. And if you are in some way kind of stuck with toxic in some way, you spotlight in them the beautiful that you see. You slowly but surely, carefully stop feeding the darkness. Stop it. All right. Um, I am going to stop this training because I think I've said a lot right now. And I want you guys to process what this is that I'm bringing to the table because it exists. The other big fear of death. Fear of death. For whatever reason, I'm afraid of the pain. I'm afraid of leaving my loved ones. I'm afraid of what's going to happen after I leave. I'm afraid of not being in a physical body. That's all I've ever known, right? I've read all the comments. I'm like, okay, stop thinking about that. Like, how do you know what's going to happen after you pass away? The only thing you know for sure is that you're going to. I am. You're going to. Your family is going to. Um, Certainly, we don't want anything to happen that's tumultuous to or painful to our children. That would be really tough to process. But that still can happen to people. It's part of the equation of being here. But are you going to bring your mind to it? Are you going to bring yourself to that spot and get all upset about what it is when that happens? No. You're not going to feed fear. You're going to be aware, but you're not going to feed it. And I can tell you right now, when you pass on, your life will be whatever it is, but you're not going to have the same concerns, worries, or fears in you that you have today. And you don't die, you transition into some other form of life. Isn't that cool? As your body ages, what happens? The body doesn't have the stamina, the muscle mass, the vigor that it used to have, right? It's not meant for us to live forever. We have new generations coming up. So we do our best to share and pass on the gifts, the wisdom, the insight. And then when we transition, we leave our loved ones with blessings from us because we're connected. We're all connected to one another. How do we know that? Because if I feel pain, if I'm in pain, you're going to feel it. If I'm in joy, you're going to feel it. We are one. That's how empaths seem to struggle, is because they can so easily become one with other people, with other environments, to the point of it's too much. It's too much. It's not helpful. So we pull back and we discover who we are, and we honor the boundaries between us and others. And I know everyone wants to be loved and wants to be intimately connected, but let me tell you something. If you're going to be true to yourself, it's about being within you and having that experience from that perspective and honoring other people by letting them be them and being okay with that, by letting them experience their flavor of life and being okay with that. So if you have something to share or say, you're saying it from a place of love. Maybe they hear you, maybe they don't. Some people can't hear you. They won't be able to. It won't happen. I'm sorry, but that is the truth. So what do you do at the end of the day? You step forward on your journey to be the best version of yourself, the most connected, the most whole version of yourself as possible. Okay? Um, the last training will be next Monday, and I'm going to go deeper into this with the top questions you need to work through. I've alluded to them, but I'm going to give you the exact ones next week, okay? Thank you to everyone that's listening to this live. If you're listening to this on replay, just hit hashtag replay. That would be great. If not, you can comment. If not, take the information, do something with it. Because at the end of the day, you're going to feel the emotions that you have, whether you store them away or release them. They become part of you. And the best place to be when it comes to your emotional body is to lighten, release, lighten, release. Do not take on heaviness. Sometimes heaviness comes our way, loss, grief, right? Big changes are big shocks to us. We move through them to the other side. We don't stay put in them. We move through. All right. Well, thank you for listening. I really appreciate it. Have yourself a great day. And please, feedback is always welcome. I love it.